Recording in progress.
Good evening. Welcome to the November 20th, 2024 meeting of the Oceanside City Council. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order and ask our city clerk to call roll, please.
Mayor Sanchez.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Keim. Councilmember Joyce. Councilmember Robinson. Councilmember Weiss.
Thank you. Please rise for the invocation. Tonight we do have Father Charles Wright, Prince of Peace Abbey. He just celebrated his, how many years was that?
60th.
60th.
Let us pray. Divine source of all that we have, we begin by thanking you for your many blessings that you continue to shower upon us as a united city and each one of us in particular. We realize that all we have is gift to us and that we become and what we become is our gift to you. Again, we come before you mindful that your providence controls the forces that wish to control us. You have given freely, and you expect us to give freely. So do that with the respect that we owe each other and the aid we can offer to those who are most in need, for that is the major purpose of a dedicated government. Although these are trying times, we know that true peace can never be found in any group, any organization, or government unless it is first found in the hearts of those members of those groups, organizations, and governments seeking peace. So tonight we seek that peace, that wisdom, and that generosity which can only come from you. We ask this in your divine name. Amen.
Amen. Please remain seated, standing, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
Magic.
Wow. I thought we were going to have the keep-ho, right?
All right.
It actually rotates the first time. Oh, you found
We
it?
found it. But hey, magic trick. And now for my next trick, I'm going to put it back. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that round of indifference. It doesn't work? Now for my final trick. There we go, man.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you guys hear me? Yeah? Okay, cool. All right. This is the part of the city council meeting that we call presentations and proclamations. And this is when we get to celebrate and talk about things that are happening in Oceanside. And the first thing we have is a proclamation in honor of Oside Turkey Trot. 2024. So we have Eric Marenberg here. We're going to have to share this. Okay, sorry about that. So I do have a proclamation, and it reads, and you all know when that is, right? Okay. Okay, God, thank you. Turkey Day. Proclamation in honor of the 19th annual Oceanside Turkey Trot. Whereas community gatherings like running and walking events positively impact the mental, physical, and economic well-being of the residents and businesses that call Oceanside and the entirety of North County home. And whereas the Oceanside Turkey Trot promotes healthy lifestyles across North San Diego County. And whereas Oceanside will showcase its breathtaking scenery, cultural arts, community history, and local businesses. And whereas the Oceanside Turkey Trot attracts thousands of residents from across Oceanside and San Diego County, as well as draws visitors from all 50 states and multiple countries. And whereas nearly 10,000 runners and walkers of all ages will come together in downtown Oceanside to participate in the 19th annual Oceanside Turkey Trot. And whereas over $20,000 will be raised for North County-based charities, nonprofits, and school organizations to help support programs tied to education, fitness, arts, and community. And whereas thousands of participants will patronize local businesses and hotels, driving significant economic activity. And whereas San Diego Running Co. is committed to delivering this tremendous positive impact to Oceanside year after year. That means next year too, right? Okay. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Sanchez, on behalf of the City of Oceanside, do hereby proclaim November 28th, 2024 as Oceanside Turkey Trot Day in the City of Oceanside.
Well, thank you. I hope to see everyone on Thanksgiving morning. This is our second year, our group, of putting it on. We're fortunate to take over from Kathy Kinane, which some in this room would know, but it's been 19 years coming up. Overall, it's been over $500,000 that have gone to local charities. Not to mention, it's bringing so much of the community together to support the local businesses. It's such a fun day. The forecast looks pretty good so far, so hopefully we'll have blue skies to treat us next week, but hope to see everyone there. Thank you for the support from City Council and the Mayor. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. And the next, we have a proclamation in honor of Shop Small Business Saturday, Shop Local Oceanside, and that is Saturday, November 30th. And you all know when that is, right? It's the day after Black Friday. Okay, got it, okay. So, and really everybody starts on that day, right, in Oceanside, and we so want everyone to come downtown, forget about going to any malls, come to Oceanside and do your shopping. So we have today, I'm a little closer, because you're gonna be talking in this mic, and it's actually pretty good for my, my height, right? Yeah, for our height. So, proclamation in honor of Small Business Saturday, Shop Local Oceanside. Whereas the City of Oceanside celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community. And whereas, according to the U.S. Small Business Administration, there are 33 million small businesses in the United States. Small businesses represent 99.7% of firms with paid employees. Small businesses are responsible for 62.7% of net new jobs created since 1995. And small businesses employ 46.4% of the employees in the private sector in the United States. Lots of really great facts there. And whereas 68 cents of every dollar spent at a small business in the United States stays in the local community, and every dollar spent at small businesses creates an additional 48 cents in local business activity as a result of employees and local businesses purchasing local goods and services. And whereas the City of Oceanside supports our local small businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities. And whereas as part of Small Business Saturday, American Express will donate $1 to hurricane relief efforts for every purchase made with an eligible American Express card at qualifying U.S. small businesses, including Green Cheek Beer, Oceanside Glass, and Frida's Taqueria right here in Oceanside. And whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. Say that. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Sanchez, on behalf of the City of Oceanside, do hereby proclaim November 30th, 2024 as Shop Small Business Saturday, Shop Local Oceanside, and urge all residents and visitors of Oceanside and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Shop Small Business Saturday and to shop local Oceanside throughout the year, not just on Saturday, not just this Friday, but throughout the year. Thank you. And I have Michelle Geller with us. She is our economic development manager, and we also have representation from Main Street Oceanside. Main Street Oceanside.
Thanks, Mayor. Small businesses are the backbone of our economy. Over 90% of businesses in the San Diego region and in Oceanside are small businesses. So we're just super grateful to all our small businesses and all your hard work. And as the mayor mentioned, we have representatives from Main Street Oceanside here to talk to you a little bit about what's happening on Small Business Saturday. Take it away, ladies.
Thank you. So on Small Business Saturday, November 30th, we are kicking off our campaign at Main Street Oceanside. We'll have a digital passport to entice consumers to go into the local shops for chances to win local prizes. That's going to run from November 30th to December 14th. We also have a window decorating contest for the small businesses for the chance to win cash prizes for them. That runs also from November 30th to December 14th. And then we'll promote their in-store specials and activities through the same time frame. And then we will also have holiday markets at the Sunset Market, kicking those off at the city's tree lighting on December 5th.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jacqueline. I'm the market administrator here at Main Street Oceanside. So as Bobby said, we would love for you guys to come down to the Sunset Market. We are working in partnership with the city to be doing that tree lighting. And we are going to be having local retailers and food trucks as well. So make it down to the Sunset Market and please join us in our passport. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Angie Leonard, and I am the interim CEO for Main Street Oceanside.
I'm Mary Jo Canaletti, and I am the HR manager with Main Street Oceanside.
Great, thank you. Thank you for being here. Local on Saturday and Friday. Okay, right. Thank you. Vivencio Reina here. Come on down. We do have the Mayor's Business Spotlight, and today we're honoring moving, deliveries, and junk removal, but with Vivencio Reina III, and it's called Mission Minded, Moving, Deliveries, and Junk Removal.
Well, in the spirit of honoring small businesses, we're really excited to be able to recognize Fidencio Reina of Mission Minded Moving. Fidencio has been a member of our chamber for a little over a year, so I've gotten the opportunity to know him a little bit. And just a couple things that I want to point out that really stood out to me. First and foremost is Fidencio's service to our country. So after 9/11, he made the decision to put his life on the line and his personal safety and join the United States Marine Corps to serve our country. So how about a round of applause for him for that service? Fidencio shared with me that most of his 8 years in the Marine Corps were spent on Camp Pendleton, so he got to know our community really well. And like so many other businesses that we have, he came here via the Marine Corps and settled and started a small business in our community. The other thing I wanted to point out that stood out in a conversation I had with Fidencio is his hiring practices. He has a small business, 7 to 12 employees, depending on the season. And one of the things that he shared with me is he gives the opportunity, he makes a concerted effort to hire graduates of sober living programs. So he's giving a hiring opportunity to people that in many cases get overlooked. So we really appreciate what you're doing for our community and the jobs that you're providing. And just wanted to give you the opportunity to maybe say a few words about your business.
Thank you, City Hall. Thank you, Chamber of Commerce, Scott, Vanessa, for highlighting me today. And yeah, mission-minded, moving, deliveries, and junk removal. I did 8 years in the Marine Corps. After I got out, I didn't know exactly what to do. So for about 8 years, I tried to figure it out. Landed on a delivery service type company and said, I can do this. And so from delivering, refrigerators to, TVs or sofas, mattresses in the bed of my pickup truck, I just kept grinding it out, and we built it up to to having a warehouse down here on Mission, and got about 9 to 12 guys working throughout the year. Want to bring on more guys, want to bring on more jobs. We do anything from moving, packing services, deliveries of anything. If you just need your storage organized, haul away junk, don't take things to donation center, anything that you need in the moving and transportation, we want to be able to support that for the community of Oceanside and also definitely San Diego. So try us out. We try to give the best service. We don't pay a lot for marketing at all. A lot of it's word of mouth, and that's how we've grown throughout the past 7-8 years. And we'd like to try to keep it that way too. That way, you're getting the quality service that you deserve. That's pretty much it. Thank you so much for the time, and appreciate it.
Engineering. Closed session report.
Thank you. The City Council met to discuss item 1 on the closed session agenda, conference with labor negotiator involving the status of negotiations with the Oceanside Police Management Association. There is no action to report on that item. On item 2, public employee appointment, city attorney, I can announce that I have met with the council and conveyed my intent to retire December 30th of this year. And I'm sure there'll be many more details about the process that'll come forward in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mullen, and thank you for your service, wonderful service to Oceanside. We are now on the consent calendar items. They are items 3 through 11. I understand that one item under number 5 has been pulled. Any others?
Just number 5.
Okay, is there a motion to approve? Okay, also 11. Okay, there's a motion to approve balance. Okay, there's a second. No other requests to speak on this. Let's vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Right, number 5 is staff recommendations that the City Council approve Amendment 1 to the Professional Services Agreement with Townsend Public Affairs for a 2-year term in the annual amount of $66,000 for a total of not to exceed amount of $132,000 to provide California government relations and lobbying services and authorize city manager to execute the amendment. And we have Mr. Knott.
Jimmy Knott?
Mayor, council members, Jimmy Knott, 127 Sherry Lane. I wish for the city to remind the Townsend Public Affairs Group to remind the legislature about the importance of the separation of powers between the state of California and our cities because of land decisions that have come before this city council numerous times, and the state of California usurping the power of the city and its citizens to take and direct the way that we wish for our land to be developed and its environment to be maintained. We should make it very, very clear to every legislature up there that there is a potential danger of a legal challenge if there is not clarity given in negotiations with the cities in the state of California, including the City of Oceanside, that these separations of powers is a constitutional measure that needs clarity. And the City of Oceanside needs to and will seek legal remedy. These need to be brought forward. Plus, the city needs to urge the development of inclusions of Oceanside and many decisions and allocations of city on the many departments and allocations of budget thereof. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knott. I'm going to go ahead and move approval of staff's recommendations. Is there a second? Okay, there's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you. Item number 11, staff recommends that the city council authorize staff and JILK Heavy Construction, Inc., hereinafter JILK, to continue work with respect to emergency demolition related to the Hammerhead portion of the Oceanside Pier, including the removal of the existing restaurant and food kiosk, and continue the city engineer's authorization to approve change orders for up to a total of $135,000. And I believe it was
That was me.
Larry Robinson.
So I don't need staff or anything. I meant to ask staff about this earlier, just because it came about the pier. We get a lot of interest on what's going on the pier, how fast. And I was just wondering, is there a way of putting maybe a camera out there real time so people can watch in real time the progress of the demolition and construction of the pier?
Honorable Mayor and council members, we'll certainly look into the feasibility of doing it, and if we can do it, we'll get it going.
I just think it might be interesting for the public, and I'll move the item.
Okay, I'll go ahead and second. There's a motion and second. No other requests to speak on this. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you. I've had a request to move item number 14 forward. So let's start on that. That's communications from the public regarding items not on this agenda.
Item number 13?
14?
Oh, 14. On item number 14, we have 9 speakers.
Okay.
Our first speaker is Douglas Smith, to be followed by Michelle Eggleston, to be followed by Sherry Mackin.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and councilmen. My name is Douglas Smith. I live by the airport. I want to talk a little bit about the Eddie Jones project. They had a meeting, a public meeting last week to present the fourth option. We weren't quite given a lot of time to study the fourth option. It was presented in a Zoom meeting, which access by the public was rather limited and probably undercounted. My wife was also participating, but because she was in my name, that was additional people that were participating but not counted. I don't think I'm alone. But anyway, the fourth option does represent rather radical change. I don't know if it was embedded in other parts, but the part that we saw, one slide, showed a massive building now being 4 buildings. The number of spaces allocated went down from 104 to 56, I'm sorry. So there is compromise in the wind, and hopefully we will see it happen. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Michelle Eggleston.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Eggleston. I am one of the 22 owners of Roberts Cottages. I have owned my cottage number 3 for over 27 and a half years, and I spend most of my week there, although I am a resident of Encinitas. I'm a retired school nurse from Oceanside Unified School District. There's a misconception that these cottages are still motor lodges or rentals. And each one of these cottages have been individually owned since 1957. These cottages are our homes. I'm here tonight to be the voice for all of the 22 individual owners, and I'd like to clarify some false and misleading comments that have been made at past meetings regarding the owners. At the 4/15/24 Harbor and Beaches Committee meeting, the chairwoman asked if all of the cottage owners had been contacted regarding the dune project. The answer was no, but that several of the owners had gone to Ms. Timberlake asking that the dunes get installed right away because we were tired of having lots and lots of sand on our property and having to clean out our parking lot. None of the owners ever said that. It was also stated that the cottages flood during a king tide. We've never had any flooding from a king tide, and we've never had sand in our parking lot. It was also stated by one of the Harbor and Beach Committee members that all of the cottage owners were at the January Re-Beach meeting and were told what was going on. There were only 5 members in attendance in that January meeting, and no specific details were provided regarding the front of our property until just this month. I personally was not made aware of any of the plans for fencing and vegetation until our November 10th HOA meeting, when flyers with pictures and specific information was presented by one of our board members. Since that meeting, I have personally spoken to all of the other 21 owners and can assure you that none of us are in favor of having fencing and vegetation directly in front of our front porches. We sit directly at street level. We all love opening our front doors to the beautiful beach and ocean. The last thing we want to see is fencing and vegetation instead. It was also stated at that meeting, if people don't like this project, it would be removed. I'm asking that it not be put up in front of our cottages in the first place, since we already don't like it. I implore the city to look into alternative placement for this dune project. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Sherry Mackin? And you
Present.
have several folks who are here from Roberts Cottages. Is that correct, Ms. Eggleston? Okay, thank you. Sherry Mackin?
Hi. Well, with Thanksgiving right around the corner, I've been feeling extra thankful lately. Thankful for family, friends, and this community, and I'd like to share a little of my thankfulness with you. Every time I drive by Shea Home Project on Morris Street and Pacific Coast Highway and see the toxic soil's been removed and the site remediated, I thank Mayor Esther Sanchez for intervening during a neighborhood meeting on site and asking the developer to dig deep. Every time I go to the harbor on Sunday and buy fresh fish, I think about Esther working with the Coastal Commission staff to help with permitting so we can have a fresh fish fisherman's market at the harbor. Every time I drive by Cavalier Mobile Home Park and see residents managing safe ingress, egress, and additional traffic monitors, I thank Mayor Sanchez for bringing that community and city together to coordinate safe passage and less impacts to park residents during ongoing recent construction. Every time I swim at Wagner's Aquatic Center or visit the Senior Center at El Corazon, I thank Esther Sanchez for supporting residents' needs and forever pushing to ensure that the El Corazon property serves our community too. Every time I drive by Windman Timeshares or Pacific Street on Pacific Street and look up and see it 6 stories high rather than 12 stories high, I thank Esther Sanchez for getting Watkins to drop the legal height from 12 stories to 6 stories and ensuring that we would never see a 12-story building on Pacific Street. Every time I see a mobile home park, I thank Esther for being a fierce component for rent control and ensuring coach owners are protected. And then there's Costa Serena, 55-plus community. I thank Esther Sanchez for ensuring that a speculator was not allowed to convert 3 homes in that community for use for those less than 55 years old. Believe me, I could go on, but I won't. Esther has done so much for our neighborhoods and businesses, it would take me all day to go through it. Truth be known, she's always put Oceanside first, and my family, with many others this Thanksgiving, are very thankful for Esther Sanchez. Thank you. Happy
Thank you,
Mayor.
Sherry. Thank you. John Wolfield.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, my name's John Wolfield. I'm owner of Roberts Cottage number 8. And I wanted to say I'm excited to hear about the Re-Beach project, the site selection, and to see it come along where Oceanside needs it most. However, I recently learned that the Pilot Dune project, this is the $57,000 grant that was received, had selected a site in front of Roberts Cottages. I wanted to say that Roberts Cottage owners oppose replacing our beautiful white sandy beach with fences and weeds. The Dunes project does not belong in front of Roberts Cottages. The Re-Beach project is working to create sandy areas in Oceanside, and the thought of fencing one of the nicest current beaches in Oceanside and trying to create dunes and taking away public use is appalling. Other projects such as the Pier Access Bridge, the Pier Rebuild, and Re-Beach will already take up beach space over the next few years, and the white sandy beach in front of Roberts Cottages is needed for everyone. The City of Oceanside flyer regarding the Oceanside Coastal Dunes Restoration Project shows an old picture of Roberts Cottages with some vegetation on the sand. Note that vegetation is well below the road. Since that time, sand has been dredged from the harbor to create the sandy beach everyone wants. We do not want 4-foot-high fencing with 15-inch shims and planted weeds to accumulate sand in front of the cottages and ruin the sandy beach and views. The flyer points out that the dunes will not take up tile space and there will be minimal beach use impact. That's not true. North Strand Beach in the area in front of the cottages is one of the most heavily used beaches on nice days. Everyone is seeking the sand, especially when they can't find it south of the pier. The city has their permitted areas on other areas of the beach, and the area in front of the cottages has become more popular every year. Under objectives for North Strand Beach, it states to protect infrastructure from coastal storm flooding and manage sand. The area in front of Roberts Cottages does not get the flooding like the South Strand, and there will still be the same amount of sand management required. Most sand comes from people's feet, boogie boards, and other things people bring off the sand, off the beach. And only a few times a year is there really enough blowing to cause a lot of sand. The sand will still happen. It will still blow off the dunes. Let's save the existing sandy beach for everyone's use. Sandy beaches are what Oceanside is trying to protect. Please don't replace our white sandy beach with fences and weeds and take away public space and views. Please go visit South Ponto Beach, just 10 miles south of here in Carlsbad. They're doing dunes out of greater necessity. However, their dune project has rusted posts, rusty wire, cheap fencing that's sagging, shims sticking haphazardly out of the sand, dead vegetation, frayed rope blocking and surrounding the area. Oceanside's $57,000 grant can only go so far. Don't replace our $1 million beach views with cheap fencing, shims, weeds. South Ponto Beach looks messy and uninviting compared to North Strand's beach. In front of the cottages, all my compliments to the team who take care of Oceanside sand. In closing, please don't mess with the beach in front of the cottages. Focus on the bigger Re-Beach project to help restore sand south of the pier where it is needed most. Thank you.
Thank you. Arlene Hammerschmidt, followed by Joseph Kamen.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Arlene Hammerschmidt, Ruralish Fire Mountain 92054. Winter is upon us. It's a season of long, cold nights, time to reflect, and time to find gratitude for all the previous seasons and times. Mayor Sanchez, thank you for your support in getting term limits for city council elected officials on the ballot in November of 2020. The people of Oceanside voted, it passed, and finally we have term limits in the city of Oceanside. I have gratitude for your support for letting Oceanside vote on if we wanted our city clerk and city treasurer elected or appointed. Thanks in no small part to your efforts, we the people of Oceanside do elect both our city clerk and our city treasurer. Thank you for your 2020 support in adopting the City of Oceanside elected and appointed officials code of ethics. There was none prior, and it was sorely needed. Thank you, we now have that code of ethics. Big time gratitude for listening to the people in my neighbors and I, and helping us get a new home that was too tall for the approved zoning ordinance, getting that situation recognized and corrected. This was a long time ago. Well done, much appreciated, much gratitude. Thank you all.
Thank you. Joseph Kamen, followed by Jimmy Knott. Is there a Joseph Kamen? Okay, Jimmy Knott, followed by Carolyn Kramer.
Mayor, council members, Jimmy Knott, 127 Cherry Lane. I too have some issues with the Eddie Jones replan of Plan 4. The question is very simple. Their plan is new, but the question comes, does the public have a right to comment on the plan? It's an alteration of the DEIR. The orientation has now been completely swiveled. The direction of the sounds and lighting and everything is away from a commercial enterprise towards the homes and the nature in the valley there, up the canyons. Now, to me, that's putting business before the people, putting business before the citizen, putting the businesses before anything that is important for the people and the enjoyment of the life. So I think that we need to look at the impacts, and this should reopen the DEIR, and it should give a new time frame for that. That's one thing that new Plan 4 needs to do ASAP. Another thing which I would like to see this council do, and that is with Trump Term 2. Trump Term 2 would be, according to what Mr. Trump has said, he wants to eliminate departments, like the Department of Education. Now, if he does that, that's going to be putting away a lot of different employment factors for a lot of Oceanside citizens. And also questioning on where these students are going to be going to. How is this going to be handled? There are other agencies, a number of other agencies that he has voiced. We need to take a look at that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Knott. Carolyn Kramer, followed by Diane Nygaard.
Good evening, Council and fellow members of the community. Since it's in the time for Thanksgiving and it's time to be thankful, I want to tell you about something that I'm very thankful for. I love the beach, and I want to thank Esther Sanchez, because the first time I ever met Esther Sanchez was sitting right here in this chamber. She was a member of the public. She had nothing to do with politics. And she was here for the same reason that I was, because there was a proposal before us. Actually, there was two. One was at Harbor Beach, where we had an aquarium project, and they wanted to pave our beach at Oceanside Harbor because they thought it wasn't being used well. Terry Johnson, who supported that project, came driving through Oceanside, North Jetty one day, and he goes, couldn't find a place to park, drove around 3 times, and he goes, "What is this?" We go, "What?" And he goes, "What is this?" He says, "Yeah, Terry, this is the beach you wanted to pave. Aren't you glad you didn't do it?" So this is for all of the newcomers to Oceanside and to those of you that haven't been here very long. We have a lot to be proud of. And the other one that I'm really proud of as well is the Manchester project that we stopped. It took 7 years, but we did it. That proposal was for our pier area with 2 12-story buildings on Pacific Street. And that developer not only wanted the height to 12 feet, but he also wanted to close Pacific Street. He also wanted our parkland at Betty's Lot. He wanted our amphitheater, and he wanted our community center. What he wanted was a private beach. Esther Sanchez stood her ground with us, and we fought that for 7 years. And guess what? The people won. So I'd like to thank you, Esther, for everything that you've done for the city long before you were affiliated with politics, because that's where your heart is. And since we're in the spirit of Thanksgiving, I'd like to thank the people from the Roberts Cottages for coming out tonight, because we don't want it at Harbor Beach either. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Diane Nygaard.
Well, since we're in the spirit of giving thanks tonight, I want to add a few more to those that we've heard. I first met Esther Sanchez over 24 years ago when we were trying to stop the city from giving away El Corazon to Doug Manchester. So it wasn't just the beach, it was also El Corazon. That was another long, hard fight, and Esther was there every step of the way. Today, we have a master plan for El Corazon, and yes, 11% of the site will be developed, but the rest of that, hundreds of acres of land, is park and habitat that will benefit the people of Oceanside. And when we realized years ago that our farmland, like farmland throughout this country, is at risk of development, it was Esther who was there from the beginning to help save that farmland, from the SOAR initiative to the tabling the South Morrill Hills Community Plan with its hundreds of clustered housing units to the North River Farms development. She did all she could to protect that farmland. And today, most of that farmland is still there. And when we look at our priceless natural resources in this community, from Buena Vista Lagoon and Loma Alta watershed, and the limited areas we have left for our native wildlife and plants, Esther was a vote we could always count on to protect those resources, from getting our first climate action plan adopted, protecting water quality, to trying to move our sub-area plan forward. So for all of these things, Esther, we thank you. Oceanside will benefit from your action for generations, and that's a legacy to be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
There are no more speakers on this item.
I didn't know that was going to happen today. and you guys are making me cry, really. Thank you, and in turn, thank you for your leadership in the community. Not one person can do anything. It takes, they say, a village. It takes an Oceanside community to do everything that we've been able to do over the years. So I thank you. I'm really touched because I didn't know what you all were going to be talking about, and gosh, thank you very much. Appreciate that very, very much. So we don't have a 6 o'clock item, but we do have one general item, and that is item number 12. And this is staff recommends City Council take the following actions related to Rebeach Oceanside Pilot Project siting. Number 1. Number 12. Receive information, number 1, receive information about the multi-criteria siting analysis and associated public outreach, and concur with staff's recommendation to select segment 1, along with seaward of the Strand between Tyson Street Park and Wisconsin Avenue as a Rebeach pilot project location. And number 2, authorize staff to proceed with final design, engineering, and environmental compliance tasks with a Phase 2 sand nourishment and retention pilot project cited in segment 1. First, we're going to start off with Jamie Timberlake, our Coastal Zone Administrator. Ms. Timberlake?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Jamie Timberlake. I'm the Coastal Zone Administrator for the city, and I'm joined by the consulting team for this project from GHD. Tonight, I am here to present the staff recommendations for siting the Rebeach Oceanside Sand Retention Pilot Project. Over the past 6 months, the coastal management team, our consultants at GHD, and the city team have conducted a thorough, objective analysis of the most eroded areas of Oceanside's coast to determine where to site the city's first novel sand retention project. A thorough review and critical analysis of the possible locations for the pilot project is essential to the overall success of this effort. With this novel concept, we are testing out this new coastal management tool, hoping to prove its efficacy in one location before we scale this project to additional areas of the coast. In that, the pilot project should be constructed in a location that can best showcase the highest performance of this innovative design and be done so in a predictable timeline. Once installed, our plan is to monitor the implemented project, show with data how and where the most benefits are being observed, and then consider options for implementing additional iterations of the design. So the presentation tonight discusses this thorough objective analysis with a staff recommendation on the optimum location for the first Rebeach Oceanside pilot project. So just to recap and bring everyone up to speed, Rebeach is Oceanside's coastal resilience initiative that aims to improve and prolong our sand management efforts and restore or re-beach our shoreline. This effort began in 2020 with a year-long feasibility study that identified deficiencies in current coastal management actions, as well as determined a suite of possible solutions to lessen the long-term beach erosion on our coast. The feasibility study concluded that a high-quality source of sand should be identified and a beach nourishment program developed to provide more consistent sediment supply to our coast, and also that the beach nourishment program should be combined with a retention mechanism that could assist with retaining sand, since we clearly do not keep sand on our beaches for very long south of the pier. At an August 2021 public workshop, the City Council gave staff direction to pursue the recommendations given in the feasibility study. Specifically, staff was directed to move forward with the environmental analysis, design, and permitting of a pilot project that would provide both beach nourishment and sand retention. In 2023, Council approved a contract with GHD for the sand nourishment and retention pilot project, which includes community stakeholder engagement, baseline monitoring, engineering analysis and design, and environmental compliance and permitting, which will bring this project to be shovel-ready by the end of this contract. So as part of the design and engineering tasks, the city launched an international design competition, which gave the city an opportunity to see what kinds of innovative solutions were out there that we could borrow from the world. from communities that were dealing with similar coastal stressors. The 8-month-long final design competition hosted 3 competitors. The competitors were given the parameters to compete, which were in alignment with our feasibility study conclusions. And these were to design a sand retention feature that would restore and maintain sand along the coast while providing additional benefits to the community, and increase the efficiency and extend the benefits of any and all sand nourishment efforts that the city, the region, or the federal government carry forward. Throughout the competition, each design round culminated with a presentation to the public at a public workshop. All these workshops were very well attended, with 150 to 220 people participating at each workshop. The public comments gathered at these workshops informed the designs of each of the design competitors and included important considerations like beach safety once the retention feature was installed, the preservation of existing surf amenities, and the desire to restore lateral beach access along the coast. Given the regional interest and potential effect of the implemented project at various scales, the project team shared updates with regional stakeholders throughout the Beach process. Informational presentations were given to city councils or designated commissions in Carlsbad, Encinitas, Solana Beach, and Del Mar. Additional regional outreach included presentations at Sandag and a myriad of local and regional stakeholder meetings and events that are all listed here. Some of them are listed here. This concentrated regional outreach will continue throughout the environmental compliance, permitting, and construction phases of the pilot project. So after the final design round and 3rd public workshop, the living speed bumps design concept prevailed as the winner of the design competition, which was certified by a unanimous council approval in January 2024. The living speed bumps design, brought forward by International Coastal Management from the Gold Coast of Australia, embodies 3 retention constructs coupled with beach nourishment. 2 of the constructs are located on the back beach and act as headlands, shown here as item A, which will help to stabilize dry sand beach space. These headlands are expected to extend out to grade approximately 150 feet off the back beach, supported by a buried tow. In the offshore areas shown as item B, an artificial reef will be constructed and placed roughly 900 feet offshore. This reef will provide some energy dissipation, which will encourage development of sandbars in the lee and sides of the structure. Both of these elements are supplemented with nourishment for the design life of the structures, because the idea is not to grab sand from the littoral cell, but to increase the longevity of sand management activity. The 2 headlands, the artificial reef, and the beach nourishment represent the entirety of the pilot project. Though International Coastal Management grounded their concept in this geographic location, the concept could be implemented in several places along the coast, and finalizing the location of the pilot project is why we're here tonight. So to begin our siting assessment, we divided the most eroded areas of the coast into segments based on natural breaks in the coastline. These are the 3 segments, with segment 1 extending from Sea Gaze to Wisconsin, segment 2 extending from Wisconsin to North Buccaneer, or north of Loma Alta Creek, and segment 3 extending from South Buccaneer to the border of Buena Vista Lagoon. Next, we amassed all the factors or criteria that needed to be evaluated to enable project implementation. We first aggregated these criteria with the project team, and then opened the discussion to the city team, which included representatives from other city departments, including Public Works, Planning, Engineering, Marine Safety, Parks and Recreation, and the city manager's office. Then the project team analyzed various layouts for the headlands and reef in each of the segments. We scored the siting criteria for several different layouts per segment, and shown here are the recommended layouts of the reef and headlands per segment, which are the highest scoring configurations of the pilot project elements. We conducted several months of public outreach to ask the public for feedback on the siting analysis process and the criteria being assessed to make the siting decision, which is summarized in a community summary document in the staff report. And then finally, we scored each of the criteria for each recommended layout. These are the 11 criteria that we assessed to make the decision on a preferred layout per segment and on the final pilot project siting recommendation. Dividing the analysis of each segment into these set criteria allowed us to compare one segment to the other. So these are important in the decision-making process, and I'll speak briefly to the definitions of each. So creation, restoration of beach over design life assesses the overall performance of the pilot project pertaining to long-term restoration of a beach. Sediment supply to adjacent beaches regards the potential impact to the sediment supply on downdrift beaches, which means to the north or south of the pilot project because sand flows both ways in Oceanside. Property risk assessment assesses the risk and uncertainties associated with the pilot negatively affecting shoreline assets. Private and public property entitlements regards the city's ability to acquire the appropriate permissions and right-of-way for construction and long-term access, operations, and maintenance, since some of the headlands in segment 2 and 3 mostly connect to portions of private property. Constructability accounts for initial logistics like access and staging. Construction costs account for costs. Adaptive management assesses our ability to have long-term access to the site to change a design element if our monitoring program is showing an impact. Biological resources judges the effect of the project on biological resources in the intertidal and nearshore space. Surfing resources analyzes the potential effect on existing surfing. Coastal access and amenities assesses existing beach amenities like restrooms and accessibility. Since we know this is a project serving the public and that beach attendance is expected to increase with a successful project, it's pertinent to assess the current ability of the location to serve that increasing need. And public marine safety captures the ability to preserve safety of beach and ocean recreation within the project area. So if you'd like more detail about these criteria, this table is included in the staff report. So when we assess each of the criteria for the recommended layouts per segment, segment 1 scores highest with 91% of the total points that could be given. Therefore, segment 1 is the recommended location for the Rebeach Oceanside pilot project, with headlands constructed at Tyson Street Park and Wisconsin Avenue, and an offshore artificial reef constructed situated between the two headlands. Here we have the segment 1 scoring for each of the assessed criteria, and I'll just highlight a few in the interest of time. Segment 1 received a score of 5 for the private and public property entitlement criteria and the property risk assessment criteria, because this segment sustains about 96% public property, which means the city already retains ownership of the proposed project area, which makes implementation a bit more predictable. Also, with the city-owned spaces adjacent to the pilot, the city assumes the risk to its own property in piloting this project. Surfing resources had the lowest score in the assessment, which is attributed to there being heavily used, higher quality surf adjacent to the pier. Because there is higher quality and a higher number of users in segment 1, there is a greater potential for negative change to surf resources, and therefore segment 1 received the lowest score for this criteria. In the next phase of the project, which is numerical and physical modeling, we'll be working on designing the reef and headlands to have minimal negative impacts on surf amenities. And adaptive management received a score of 5 because if monitoring results trigger the need for management actions, then implementation of those actions is much more flexible and likely cheaper to complete the pilot project situated in segment 1. So tonight, council decides on the pilot project location, which will really kick off the next engineering and design tasks. Some numerical modeling has already been conducted to get us to this stage in the design, but we will really ramp up modeling with the location determined. The model proposed to be used will incorporate data about current shoreline conditions and will help us answer important questions about the sand quantities needed and the reef headland design, like the crest elevation of the reef, the orientation, size, and shape of the reef, and the ideal location of the reef in relation to headlands. The modeling system will evaluate the wave and current patterns for multiple layouts of the structures. Additionally, we hope to perform physical modeling of a scaled reef and headlands, which would be performed in a wave basin. On to sediment investigations and some super good news. Over the past summer, we wrapped up the offshore sediment investigations and reporting. The Rebeach pilot project includes placement of sand from offshore sources, and the project team finalized the approval of an Oceanside offshore borrow area just today. This sand will be used for the initial pilot project construction and for adaptive management needs in the future. We continue to conduct physical monitoring of the beaches, the latest of which has shown some accretion of sand on the shoreline. Baseline monitoring is going to be really important over the next year and a half because it establishes baseline conditions prior to implementing the pilot project that we can compare against once the project has been installed. Here's a visualization of the timeline and the work that we've done since the initial authorization of this project, of this concept. With adaptive management planning, modeling, and design engineering kicking off next, followed by the development of a programmatic environmental compliance document. So, though the pilot project needs to be built and tested in one specific location on our coast prior to scaling this design to other areas, the sand placement benefits will be wide-reaching across areas south of the pier. The whole design concept hinges on retaining some of the sand. Sand will not be so retained by these constructs that it won't move north or south of the headland. Additionally, the amount of sand that will be placed that is expected to be around 900,000 cubic yards of material, and this is about 4 times the amount of sand that was placed in Oceanside during the last big regional beach sand project in 2012. Because we have a robust monitoring program that includes all the segments, we'll be able to capture all of this data, and this will inform future iterations of the pilot project in other areas. So aside from Rebeach, the city continues to work with development permits, developers that potentially have suitable sand to export to our beaches using our current SCOOP permits, which is sand compatibility and opportunistic use permits. We are designing and implementing dunes in areas where there is dry sand. Dunes are a natural form of sand retention. They elevate the beach faster than the seas are rising, and they will allow us to keep the sand on our beaches where we currently have it, diverting our limited funding and sand resources to areas that are more in dire condition. We are active members of the Sandag Shoreline Preservation Working Group and are already contracted to be part of the next regional beach sand project. And we continue to explore how to implement the Buena Vista Lagoon Enhancement Project, which could not only yield millions of cubic yards of sand, but also alleviate some of the flooding occurring throughout the Buena Vista watershed. So with that, I'll conclude with the staff recommendation. And we recommend that the City Council take the following actions. Receive information about the multi-criteria siting analysis and associated public outreach, and concur with the staff's recommendation to select segment 1 along and seaward of the Strand between Tyson Street Park and Wisconsin Avenue as the Rebeach pilot project location. And authorize the staff to proceed with final design, engineering, and environmental compliance tasks with the Phase 2 sand nourishment and retention pilot project cited in segment 1. Thank you.
Thank you. How many folks do we have who would like to speak on
We
this?
have 6 speakers on this item.
6 speakers. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with public input. Before we do that, are there any questions by council members regarding the presentation? No? Okay, let's go forward with
Sherry
public
Mackin,
comment.
to be followed by Steve Mayshew. And we have 2 podiums available to speak. So as you see your name up on the screen, please come on down to the next available podium.
Good evening again. Mayor and Council, I do not support the project as proposed for the following reasons. When the city first discussed a project to replenish and retain sand on oceanside beaches, part of the proposal was that it would be nature-based. What did we get? You know, a growing project, including growing field, along with the entire coastline of Oceanside, from Tyson Street to the Buena Vista Lagoon. Well, that wasn't a nature-based project, so back to the drawing board. Today, we have a proposal for a couple of headlands or fat groins project that will have the same effect that groins have on sand retention. They will starve the beach to the south of the headlands or groins. The project will include engineered components that will slow surf down, keep sand from transporting, and possibly, or most likely, ruin prime sandbar breaks surfers can ride today almost daily. And the impacts to surf are unknown. I realize much of this could come out in an environmental impact report, but darn, that's usually too late. I love swimming in the ocean. I don't like swimming in rip currents. Groins and fake headlands will create rip currents. According to the City of Newport Beach, over 100 drownings due to rip currents occur every year in the United States. More than 80% of water rescues on surf beaches are due to rip currents. In addition, West Newport Beach has 8 groins, and it's very common for rip current to develop near rock groins. There are also holes and trenches in the sand near these structures, and they say avoid being near them. More rips. Personally, I do not want any more hard structures on our beaches. I've heard lots of people that have finally starting to hear a little bit about Beach. One at the park yesterday that said, they want to do what? And I said, well, they have it on the city's website under Beach, so look it up or show up at the meeting. So anyway, I don't want any more hard structures on our beach. They create sand loss, slippery, dangerous situations at high tide, and rips. I would prefer there was a project that was truly nature-based, not engineered as proposed. The only thing I would agree on is placement of a public experiment in its relation to the public property versus private property due to possible risk of exposure to libel. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve Mashew, followed by Jimmy Knott.
I'm here today as a strong supporter of the Beach, and I fully back the site selection and the decision before you. I urge the council to approve this recommendation and move forward. I was particularly impressed by that disciplined use of multi-criteria decision analysis that you saw to identify the ideal location for the pilot project. The proposed site from Tyson to Wisconsin stands out not only as a practical choice, but also the easiest to permit and construct, as it was shown by the evaluation. Looking ahead, it's vital for the city to focus on scaling this effort. Beach must be more than just a pilot project. It needs to serve as the foundation for replenishing and protecting the entire Oceanside coastline. As residents, we're eager to see progress as soon as the pilot project demonstrates its expected success. To meet that expectation, permitting for the next phase should begin during the actual pilot's construction. Funding for future phases must also be secured well in advance, based on the assumption that the pilot project will perform as it was intended. You wait until several years after the pilot's been built to start getting funding. It just stretches the program out to almost infinity, as we saw some of these other projects taking 20 years to complete. The question I hear from residents, and particularly at my North Coast Village, is how long until my beach gets sand and retention measures? Addressing that question with a clear, forward-looking plan will be critical in maintaining community support for this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy Knott, followed by Carolyn Kramer.
Mayor, council members, Jimmy Knott, 127 Sherry Lane. If you ever spent time into our public library, and you start reading documents, even going back as far as 1916, 1940s, from the Bureau of Land Management, Bureau of Reclamation, Scripps, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, you'll discover that a lot of this started with the stymieing flow of our waterways to the coast. What happened is that you have the cities and communities upstream blocking those waterways. Also, you have at the same time the bluffs and the cliffs being prohibited from cascading down onto the beaches. There was nothing there to take and have a tax or some form of recompense to the public, saying, okay, well, if you take that resource away, you have to pay to recompense the public. Then you had the damming by certain cities, like Escondido, of the waterway. And they have sand buildup behind their dams. And what do? They dig it out. They throw it away. That sand belongs in the waterway out to the coast. Why aren't they transporting it? These are a lot of good questions. Then you have these proposals. There is an old idea of sinking some vessels, big, huge vessels, off of the coast here to set up for a reef. This is an old idea, going back 30s, the 40s. This is the same thing, except for that they're talking about using some other way. There's also another idea. We have a wastewater outfall. Why can't we reposition some of those water effects and push back the sand and creative use? And also look at plantings of seagrass and seaweed and sea farms and looking at ways of doing that. Those are some new ways of thinking. Let's start looking at innovation. Thank you.
Thank you. Carolyn Kramer, followed by Bob Ashton.
Good evening again. Carolyn Kramer, Citizens for the Preservation of Parks and Beaches. The CPPB is opposing this project. The artificial headlands, or living speed bumps, and artificial reef is just another name for more hard structures on our beach. This will create the loss of sand flowing south and north, which creates our sandbars. The loss of the sandbars will result in loss of our surfing resources, as identified in the staff report. Quote, segment 1, however, scored lower on the surfing resources criteria due to a higher potential for effect on existing surf resources. The loss of sand flow will create more degradation of our beaches in South O, as well as coastal cities to the south of Oceanside. You cannot fix the problem without fixing the source of the problem. We all know that the problem is Oceanside Harbor created the problem by blocking the sand flow from the Santa Margarita River. So quit wasting our dollars on more hard structures. Spend it on a solution. Get a sand bypass system from the Santa Margarita River over to Oceanside and let Mother Nature work her magic. Mother Nature will always win. So let's work with her instead of against her. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Ashton.
Good evening, city leaders, staff, and fellow beach lovers. I'm Bob Ashton, the president and CEO of Save Oceanside Sand. We are community advocates for responsible and sustainable beach nourishment and retention solutions for the Oceanside shoreline and beyond. Tonight is another significant milestone towards making the Re-Beach pilot project a reality on our shoreline. The City Council and staff and the Rebeach team should be commended for staying the course and continuing the Rebeach project. No other city in Northern Hemisphere has such an innovative and potentially positively impacting coastal project moving forward towards final design and permitting. Save Oceanside Sand provides its strongest endorsement for unanimous City Council approval of all recommendations stated in the Rebeach project analysis and recommendation from staff. The Rebeach summary and citing criteria, community outreach, and assessments contained in the staff report provide a solid basis of the site selection. The selection of segment 1 clearly provides the best case for success based on the 11 criteria considered for each of the 3 shoreline segments. In conclusion, Oceanside should maintain momentum with the Rebeach Phase 2 pilot project and continue its role as a pathfinder in the region and nation regarding developing innovative solutions to restore our beach and coastal habitat. In addition to Rebeach, the City Council should immediately increase our coastal management capability, expand it to develop and focus on a comprehensive shoreline protection plan. The plan should not only continue to include scaling of the successful Rebeach pilot project, but immediate near-term beach nourishment projects that would provide significant community benefit while Rebeach moves through its final or next phases. Additionally, through sustained close collaborative communications with agencies such as the Army Corps of Engineers, SANDAG, state, federal, and our sister cities, both inland and coastal, we will succeed in restoring and maintaining our beaches and coastal habitat. Sand replenishment and retention solutions have regional, state, and national implications. So does Rebeach. Other communities are closely following our journey. Rebeach places us in a unique position of designing and implementing a responsible and sustainable world-class solution for beach restoration with a project that clearly has relevance to our city, region, and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we have Yehuda Ben Hamo.
Hello,
I
everyone.
probably butchered your name, sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah, you pronounced it right. Yeah, my name is Yehuda. I'm a long-standing Oceanside resident and member of the local surf community, representing the Oceanside Board Riders Group. I'd like to begin by expressing gratitude to the City of Oceanside for your outstanding dedication to restoring our beaches, and also special thanks to Rebeach team and Coastal Zone Administrator Jamie Timberlake for her exceptional leadership. We fully support the staff's recommendation to proceed with the second phase of Rebeach, proving segment 1 as the chosen location for the pilot installation. While we understand the prioritization of segment 1 from Tyson Street to Wisconsin, we would like to raise some key considerations. Segment 1 already has high surfing value and already benefits from annual sand nourishment through harbor dredging, while southern beaches that are essential to local residents and local surfers remain neglected and inaccessible, with multiple access points closed or blocked off. This creates an inequitable burden on local residents and taxpayers, once again prioritizing tourists over local constituents. We urge the council to work to expand impacts to South O's beaches and prioritize future nourishment opportunities by leveraging scoop permits and SANDAG's RBSP plan. Additionally, we recommend that the city invest in research to ensure nourishment is strategically placed both spatially and temporally to maximize effectiveness and achieve long-lasting impacts. With limited resources, Oceanside surf spots are becoming increasingly overcrowded, surpassing their carrying capacity and creating significant safety hazards. This situation disproportionately affects the livelihoods of local surfers and taxpayers. And the city, as the city continues to promote surfing as an economic driver, it's essential to address these challenges by enhancing surf safety outreach through beach signage and collaborating with local organizations to educate visitors on surfing etiquette and best visitation practices when coming to Oceanside's beaches. We also are a little bit concerned with the offshore reef proposed and recommend that there needs to be detailed research on how the reef will impact wave quality and incoming swell size and decreasing wave energy. And the long-term success of Rebeach depends on ensuring equitable access, safety, and sustainability for all Oceanside residents, not just visitors. We look forward to continuing our work together and to bring this vision to life. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There are no more speakers on this.
So I do have a question for staff. I'm very concerned about the impacts to surfing that segment 1 probably apparently is the most impactful. Did you study perhaps shifting segment 1 more south to have less of an impact on surfing? You indicated during the presentation that it's an area where it's heavily used by surfers. And I'm thinking our locals, as well as the events that we have, like Supergirl, and we don't want to lose those events. I understand that pilot means we're going to be able to look at truly the impacts, but is there any way that we could perhaps shift segment 1 a little more south to avoid more of the heavy activity, surfing activity?
So right now, what we're looking at is the concept design. So it's the concept that ICM brought forward through that, basically the end of the feasibility for this project. So it's not a very fully designed project. We don't have a clear idea of the size, the exact location. We don't know if the reef will be directly right in between the two headlands or if it'll shift one side to the other. All of that is going to come out in the next phase where we do extensive numerical modeling, and we are also proposing to do physical modeling, so scale the reef, scale the headlands, and put it in a basin and watch how the waves break around it. So a lot of surf modeling is going to happen, and design will reflect all of that modeling effort.
So it sounds like you're saying it could shift south if it looks like it's impacting surfing more than it should. I think Oceanside, we all support surfing.
Clearly.
Especially the locals. Locals. So that is what I'm hoping that will happen, is that we study like a laser the impacts to surfing.
We will.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Weiss? Councilmember Weiss?
Yeah, I have a question for staff. I think I recall that when we approved the Rebeach project, it also included potential assessment of a sand bypass system. Is that still moving forward or being looked at?
Yes, that's in the next phase of analysis.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have no other lights. Councilmember Joyce?
She said yes. Yes, they're going to be looking at that during this next
phase
2. It's a big part of it. If I'm wrong, you can step in.
We're looking at the feasibility of how it could work here. Yeah.
Okay. So I would reiterate just support for the bypass. I think no matter what we end up doing, even if we put this in, part of this goal is to have this so that it can be taken out if it's not working. So even if it were to come to that, we're still going to need a sustainable source of sand, which is some of the work that we've been trying to do with the SANDAG subcommittees have been working on sand, the RBSP3. It's important to note that the conversations that we've been having with the county about the Regional Beach Sand Project is not about having a third big sand dump, but in fact, creating a program that's sustainable sand replenishment is part of just an ongoing maintenance thing, that we don't have to fight for this every 10 years, and this one is further behind than it was supposed to be anyway. So I just want folks to know that that's one of the projects that's going alongside of this project, that none of this works unless we continually replenish the sand. This isn't going to keep all the sand. It's not going to be a save-all. We have to continue to make that a long-term priority. So I would reiterate support for the sand transport and making sure that that is included in something that that comes back. The modeling for surf, not just the Supergirl, but our World Body Surfing Championships that happens every August and the third weekend. But we have a very rich body surfing culture here too. And then thinking about perhaps the shift. I assume you'll be modeling different sizes of reefs, and then noticing that sometimes our transport is more north to south, so maybe it makes more sense to have the reef closer to the southern bump, but I'll leave that to the scientists, and I really look forward to seeing back the data that comes with it. And I appreciate how thorough the criteria were, and it definitely gave us a very clear understanding of what we're deciding tonight, so thank you.
Councilmember Robinson?
Thank you. Just a quick question. You visited the Australia Gold Coast, where a similar type, do they surf there?
Yes, they surf on the Gold Coast.
Okay, good waves, all that stuff?
Yes, there's excellent
Okay,
waves there.
so our intention is not to do anything that's going to damage our surf. We're going to do things that are going to make it better or keep it as it is. Perfect. I'm going to move staff recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, there is a motion and a second, and I want to reiterate that I think we're all saying it, is that surfing is a high priority to maintain the surf. And when will the next update happen?
The next update to council will be regarding the features and amenities on the headlands, and we can give an update on numerical modeling at that point as well.
Okay, when do you expect that will happen? 6 months?
Let me look at the timeline. 6 to 8 months.
6 to 8 months, okay. And I want to reiterate my comments about the dunes project that is a project that is not part of this project, but was mentioned during the presentation. I don't believe that we should have these artificial dunes in a high-activity beach like we have. It should be more passive place, like where everyone else is having their dunes. So I would like to see them moved off of in front of Robert's Cottages and out of the Harbor Beach, and put them in the river mouth. That's where the habitat is, and we're talking about habitat for the snowy plover. So I hope that the residents end up getting proper notification when that comes to council. So there is a motion and second. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
All right. And next we have item number 13, advanced written request to reserve time to speak, and we've got Mr. Layton. We're still conducting a meeting here. Sorry.
The only thing necessary for evildoers to succeed is for good people to do nothing. That's why when we see slimeball behavior in the political arena, I would urge our elected leaders to step up and say what's not okay. In other words, if you see something, say something. Here's a rap sheet, the list of lawsuits involving former City Councilman Christopher Rodriguez. This stand-up guy gave $30,000 just a few months ago to the Chamber of Commerce PAC so it could work its political magic on Oceanside City Council candidates. While I am amused that its political efforts have failed as miserably as everything else they are supposed to be doing per their lease with the city, like
promoting business, promoting tourism, and doing special events, they still try to pay off council members or potential council members with campaign cash who then can continue giving them free rent. This one big deadbeat corrupt merry-go-round doesn't seem to stop. Why can no one on the council bring this up? What's up with C-Rod's highly questionable $30,000 payout? Does he still have some deals with the city and the chamber that we don't know about? Who's doing what to whom? If you see something, say something. Show us that you care. And can someone ask Councilman Robinson why he gave $1,000 to a candidate for city council who no one had ever heard of and who had no record of any city service? Could it be that you see the city council thing as nothing but a political party game? When it turned out that Corey Jensen lied to get appointed to this body, Republican Keim said, I don't care what heat I get from the GOP, I can't endorse her for election. But Mr. Weiss, who admitted he also regretted appointing her, said he would endorse her because, get this, she's a Republican. Why does it take a hack like myself to bring this stuff up? Please, city leaders, show us you have spine and you can lead. Stand up for what's right. If you see something, say something, even if it's difficult. And then there was council candidate Laura Bassett, who got a hold of a photo of her major opponent when he was still in high school and sent it out saying, is this who you want to lead our city? Really, Ms. Bassett? Mommy Dearest, who leads the Measure X committee, was a hippie in the 60s. Who cares? Let's steer Oceanside onto a higher course, whether it's on this dais or in other settings. If you see something, city leaders, please say something. And by the way, on the brand new edition of OsideBBC.com, we talk about what happens when Bank of America leaves downtown Oceanside and how easy is it to put up a 40-foot cell phone tower in Fire Mountain, and what's it like to own a tattoo studio in Oceanside. That's www.OsideBBC.com. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next are general council member comments. Any comments by council members? Councilmember Joyce?
Yeah, just briefly, I attended two commissions. I attended the Parks and Rec Commission, where they received back a report on the user guides, the draft user guides that are going to be coming back. There has been a ton of work by that commission on it. They have a standing committee that's been working on it. There's been a lot of heartburn over it too, because I think for many reasons, but there's a lot of passion about what the user groups are going to be coming back as. I know our current user guide is way out of date. And so I think the plan is for that to come back in December so that Parks and Rec is able to use it when they're allocating fields over the next year. So just keep an eye out for that. And I know that the Parks and Recs Commission, they chose not to send it to us because they felt like they needed more time on it. But I know staff is feeling like they spent a ton of time on it. So just be ready. It's an important topic, and it's one that I don't think needs to be done when it does come to us. But it is one that is important to a lot of the user groups in our city and whether or not they get facilities. And then the second one is I attended the Harbor HVAC on Monday. And it was very interesting, and they were very passionate, and there's lots of things that they are asking for help about too. So I'm going to continue to engage with some of the folks in the harbor and see if we can find ways to work with Camp Pendleton and others to bring some solutions to longstanding issues. So thanks, y'all.
Thank you, Councilmember Robinson.
Thanks. I'll make it quick. Also attended a few commissions yesterday, the Police and Fire Commission meeting, and mostly routine stuff out of that, and it'll come before us, or things that we've already seen. But what was really fun yesterday is the Rising Star Student of the Month program has begun again, and went to that yesterday. The Chamber of Commerce puts that on with a lot of support from the community and our businesses. And I failed to bring the names of the students that were recognized, but if you've never been to that event, you hear some really amazing stories of young people overcoming some very difficult challenges, and it was great to be there. And on the 13th, I hosted with Cox digital equity seminar, and we had a good number of seniors that came in and learned how to protect their selves online. So with that, thank you.
Thank you. And I would like to, actually, I think he's still here. Chief Taurino Valdovinos is our new chief for the City of Oceanside. Chief, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank council members for having faith in me, for believing in me and putting me in this position. This is a great honor. I do carry a big burden on my shoulders, wanting to represent the Oceanside Police Department the best way that I can. So you can trust that I take this job seriously and that I will do my very best to work hard, treat people with respect and decency, and be positively impactful every day. So thank you.
And you're going to be putting together community meetings to meet all the community as the new chief.
Yes, ma'am. We are putting together listening sessions, and I plan on doing it holding one in each council district. And obviously, we're going to wait a little bit to see where and when that's going to take place. But yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Happy Thanksgiving to all, and see you on December 4th, 2024, 3:30 p.m. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.